Hello guys, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. My dear students, today I will explain to you a new subject about atoms and elements because we cannot come to the school, and that's why I'll explain it by this video. But inshallah everything it will be okay. We will come back to the school with a good health. Okay, let's start. The atomic theory. What the meanings of atomic theory? The theory that the matter is made of a tiny particle. It was what? It was a theory about what? It was about the matter is made of a tiny particle. As you know, matter is anything take a place. It be what? It be matter. Okay? And the theory, it was what? It was about matter is made up of a tiny particle. It means each matter is made up from a tiny particles, a small pieces. Okay? Who said that? Who proposed this theory? This theory was proposed by what? By Greek philosophers, Democrats. Okay? Philosophers, Democrats. The philosopher Democrats say that each matter is made of a tiny particle. After Democrats, okay, who came? Aristotle was the second Greek philosopher who lived after Democrats believed that matter wasn't made of a particle. But Democrats, a Greek philosopher, that said that matter's made of a tiny particle. Who said? Democrat. But Aristotle said that matter wasn't made of a particle. But those theory accepted for 2000 years, but they didn't improve it by an experiment. Okay? By the early year 1800s, the scientists has begun to measure chemical reaction. It means they did what? They did some experiments. By those experiments, they improved that matter that's made up from what? From a tiny particle. Who proposed? John Dalton. The John Dalton proposed what? Proposed that matter is made up of a tiny particle. Each particle is called what? Atoms. If I ask you what's the atomic theory, you have to say Dalton's atomic theory is that all matter is made up of a tiny particle called atoms. Okay? It means this questions here that we have, it be what? The answer, it will be this line. Okay. Here we have what? The structures of an atom. As I said, atom is the what? Is the smallest unit that matter is made up from it. It means the matter is made up from what? From an atoms. Okay, the structures of an atoms. The atoms is made up from some subatomic. Here we have a what? Here we have the scientists know now that atoms are made up of even smaller particle called what? Subatomic particles. Okay, subatomic particle, it means the atoms and atoms, it's made up from what? It's made up from subatomic particles. Let me to draw it to you. Here we have what? If it is B, it means atom is made up from what? From subatomic particles. The centers of atom it be what? It be nucleus. Nucleus it's made up from protons with positive charge, and here neutrons with what? Has no charge. It means, and this ones it be protons too, that one it be neutrons too. Okay, around the nucleus we have a what? We have orbit. Orbit, that on orbit we have a what? Subatomic. Another subatomic, it's be what? Electrons. With what? With a negative charge. Okay, it means at the center we have a what? Nucleus. Here those subatomics we call it what? Nucleus. The nucleus made up from what? Neutrons and protons. The protons hold what? Positive charge, but neutrons has no charge. And around the nucleus we have a what? We have electrons. The path of electrons we called what? Orbit. We called what? Orbit. Okay. Here we have a what? We have vocabulary of nucleus. The nucleus is what? Nucleus is a very tiny center of an atom, as I explained it now. Okay, and what about the proton? Proton is a subatomic particle with what? With a positive charge. Okay, what about neutrons? Neutron is a subatomic particle with no charge. Okay, the last one it be what? Electron is a subatomic particle with a negative charge. Okay, and as I told you, the path in which the electrons move are called what? Orbit. Are called what? Orbit. Okay, and what about this one? What about the mass? The nucleus is a very tiny, but almost all of an atom's mass is in its nucleus. You have to know in which part will be almost mass will be there. Of course, in where? In nucleus. Okay, and the mass of a proton is 1836 times the mass of an electron. It means the proton is what? Proton is bigger than what? Bigger than electrons. Okay? And students, you have to know that protons and electrons, they have what? They have charge. Both of them, they have a charge. But electron charge, it's what? It's a negative. Proton charge, it's a positive. This negative and positive, they attract each other. These attractions, what will be happen by these attractions? They can hold atoms together. Okay? Parts of what holds atoms together is the attractions between positive and negative charge of protons and neutrons. Okay. If an atoms, for example, we have an atoms, okay? If the numbers of a proton, here we have it. If the numbers of protons here, okay? If it's be more than the numbers electrons, what will be the atoms? It will be positive charge, okay? But if the numbers of electron will be more than the numbers proton, the atom's charge will be what? Will be negative. Okay? If you have an atom, okay, the numbers of protons will be more than electron, the atom's charge will be positive. But if the numbers of electron will be more than the numbers of proton, the charge of atoms will be negative. Okay? Okay. But if the numbers of proton and numbers of electrons will be what? Will be same. What will be to the atom? We call to these atoms neutral. Okay? Neutral atom. Here we have what? We have if an atom with the same numbers of proton electron is called neutral atom. Okay? Okay, good. And you have to know this one. This is questions. We have a questions about what the subatomic particle make up an atom. As I explain it, here we have it. You have to know proton with a positive charge, neutron has no charge, and electrons with negative charge make up what? Make up an atoms. Okay, good. Here we have elements. What the meanings of element? Some atoms, but in the same kind. They react with each other. They produce what? They produce an element. An element is what? An element is a substance made up only what? One kind of atom. Okay? For example, gold. Gold is made up from what? From an atoms. It's what? It's a gold. Okay? If you take a single atom from nuggets of gold, that single atoms is still what? Is still gold because of the kinds of atom it's gold. Okay? Element is what? Is the substance make up of only one kind of what? Of atoms. One kind of atoms, they connect to each others and they produce what? They produce element. Okay. What about the meanings of atoms? Atom, as I told you, is the smallest units of an element that has all property of that element. The smallest unit of an element that has what? All of the property of that element. What about atomic number? Atomic atomic number is the numbers of protons in one atoms of that element. Okay, it means atomic number is what? Is the numbers of proton. If you have a what? Element. Okay, you take just atoms and the numbers of protons inside the atom, it will be, if it's be 1, the atomic numbers, it will be 1. Atomic number, which is the numbers of proton in one atoms of that element. Okay, and we have what? We have more than 100 elements in the world. Okay, the nucleus, for example, if they asked you about the atomic number of that element, you have to know the atomic numbers. It's a finding by what? By the numbers of the protons of the atom. Okay, an atom of each element has a specific number of proton in nucleus. The nucleus of hydrogen's atom, for example, hydrogen is a what? Is element. Okay, the hydrogens of hydrogen is what? Is element. Has only one proton. The element of hydrogen has what? Has only one proton. Okay, so if it's be one proton, the atomic number, it will be what? The atomic numbers of the hydrogens, it will be 1, 2. Okay, the atomic numbers of sodium is 11. If it's be 11, how you know? Because the atoms that have 11 protons are what? Are the atomic numbers of sodium element. Okay, what about molecules? We have molecule is formed 2 or more atoms linked together. Molecules is formed of 2 or more atoms linked together. It means, for example, oxygen is made up from what? From O and plus O. It means 2 atoms. Okay, 2 atoms, they react with each others, they produce O2, oxygen. Oxygen, it will be what? It will be molecule, because it's made up from what? From 2 oxygen's atoms. Okay, here we have oxygens, for example, of element. For molecule. What is an element? What is an element? We have a what? Questions. What is an element? You have to know element is a what. Here we have this vocabulary. Element is a substance made up of only one kind of atom. For example, gold. You have to write on your notebook. Okay, and here we have some example of what? Of elements like diamonds, graphite, anthracite. They are what? They are elements. They made up from what? From the carbons, but they ranges from different way, and those ranges produce a different element. Okay, we have a common elements. The first of all, we have a what? Oxygens. Here we have oxygen, the first element, oxygen, and here we have a what? Nucleus model. It means the atomic number. here we have an atomic number, and here we have uses. Okay, the first of all we have oxygen. Its atomic number is what? Is 8. And here we have uses. We use oxygens for what? One of the uses is what? The mask supplies oxygens for the pilots. This mask supplies oxygens for the pilots. Okay, and here we have the second one, sodium. You have to know those common elements: name, numbers of atom, and also uses. Okay, atomic numbers of sodium is what? It's 11. And uses of sodium: the sodium vapor in this light glows. This light, it's a glows. Okay, glows. In this light glows when electricity passes through it. The sodium vapor glows in this light. Okay, and here we have aluminum. Here the atomic number is 13, and aluminum is used for what? For making airplane, because is what? Because is light metal. It means the use of aluminum is what is used in making airplanes. Okay, here we have what? Silicons. Silicon, its atomic number is 14, and here electric circuits are printed on what? Are printed on thin pieces of silicons. In here we have a what? We have a silicons that the electric streaks are painted on it. Okay, here number 5 we have what? Chlorine. Chlorine is atomic number 17. Chlorine bleach is a solution of what? Sodium hypochlorite in water. Always we use this solution for what? For cleaning the clothes, for whitening every time. Okay, and last one is iron. We have atomic number is, its atomic number is 26. Okay, and iron can be shaped more easily if it is red hot. It means you can use the irons and makes more shapes easily when you hot it. Okay, here we have a what? Metal. What's the meanings of metal? Metal, we say elements are classified by their properties. We say we have more than 100 elements, and those elements will be classified by their property. About 3 above 4th of all elements are what? Classified as a metal. It means most of the elements is what? Is a metal. Okay, all metal except what? Except mercury, except are what? Are solid at room temperature. Okay, they are solid at room temperatures, and they have some properties. Metals have properties. They are luster. It means they have a brightness. They are shining. Okay, metals have many familiar property. For example, gold. Gold is used in jewelry because of its high what? High luster. Okay, or most of metals like silver, nickel have a gray or silver lusters too. And most of metals are said to be what? Malleable. Malleable, it means it be look like they are soft, can be used, can be rolled into thin sheets, and you can use it for making some things easily. Okay, and also we have a what? We have aluminiums. Metals are also ductile. They are ductile. It means they can what? Conduct electricity. They can transfer electricity, some things like that. Okay, metals are also what? Ductile, and they can be formed into wires, and copper and aluminum are used to what? In electric wiring. Okay, and here we have a what? Elements that don't have the characteristic of metals like carbon, phosphor, and sulfur are non-metals. They are what? If they don't have the characteristic of metal like a luster, malleable, tactile, they will be what? They will be non metals. Okay, here we have a questions. Before these questions we have a what, and also some substance we think that they are metal but they are not. They actually alloys. It means a mixtures of metals. It means two metals, they mix and they react with each other, they produce a new substance. This substance we called alloys. We called what? Alloys. Okay, alloys is what? A mixtures of metals. For example, bronze is what? Is alloy. Okay, it's made up from what? It's made up from copper and tins. Okay, here we have a questions. What are the properties of metal? The first of all, it's be what? Here we have the answers of these questions. Luster, and malleable, and ductile, and conduct electricity and heat. 4 properties of metal are those properties: luster, malleable, and ductile. Malleable, ductile, conduct electricity and heat. Hope you are understanding well, students. We finished our lessons, and it will be your homework. Inshallah, we will meet and I will asking for those homework.